First of all, I apologize. This is long. I'm really struggling with dealing with my wife of 11 years emotional/sexting cheating, which she says it's not technically cheating. It's been quite a roller coaster, but here's what's been going on. We are both in our early 40s and moved to a new state in the spring of 2021 once we both started jobs that allowed us to work from home. I found out about a year and a half after we moved, fall 2022, that nearly as soon as we arrived in our new state, she had been chatting and sexting with a guy named Johnny. She knew him from back in college. At one point, I believe she dated his older brother. I discovered this when, one night, she thought I was working and I walked in on her using her vibrator and saying his name. I confronted her and she admitted what was going on. We stayed up all night talking about what was happening and why. She said I'm too absorbed with work and not paying enough attention to her or our daughter, who is now 7. She also said that her anxiety had been really bad since the move, and she was struggling with her new job, which made it worse. And Johnny had dealt with anxiety as well, so she was leaning on him for support. She said that wasn't an excuse or make things right, but that's why she had felt like she needed to talk to him. She swore that, despite knowing him from back in the day, has never dated him, had sex with him, or even sent him pictures of any kind, that they communicated only via Facebook Messenger. I told her that I was very hurt and asked that, should he contact her again, to please tell me and that I needed to rebuild trust. Around 6 a.m. I fell asleep for about an hour. She woke me up at 7 to show me a lone Facebook message from him stating that he felt bad about the situation and had told his wife he's married with 2 young kids and lives a few states away, and that she's furious with him. I had said during our conversation that I thought that his wife should know what has been going on, especially since my wife revealed to me that Johnny told her he had done this with other women in the past, as well as physically cheated on his wife. I questioned whether I had a responsibility to make sure his wife knows what was going on. So essentially, the moment I fell asleep, she grabbed her phone and told him what happened and warned him that I was going to tell his wife, deleted the messages. Then he sent that message saying he told his wife everything so my wife would show it to me and I wouldn't contact his wife. Sure enough, both my wife and I were then blocked on Facebook from his account as well as his wife's account. It's possible he really did tell his wife, but I doubt it. Anyway, I let my desire to warn his wife go and instead focused on my relationship with my wife. We went to couples counseling, and I focused on being more attentive at home, helping more around the house, and prioritizing family time over work. I wasn't perfect, but my wife said she noticed the effort I was putting in and expressed how much better she felt. Our therapist even concluded our sessions and told me that she felt that my wife's digital affair was a thing of the past and that she really didn't feel like I had anything to worry about moving forward. The end right? Not by a long shot. It bothered me that she was so concerned about him to run to message him as soon as I fell asleep that day, and that she had defended him, though softly, during our conversation. I didn't feel like I could truly believe that, if he contacted her, she would tell me like she has promised. So I put that to the test. I made a fake IG account pretending to be him and messaged her, saying that I had made the account so they could continue talking. She responded by saying she would love that and had a short conversation with me, as him. Now, she figured out fairly quickly that it wasn't really him and wasn't happy that I had tricked her, while swearing that she knew the whole time it was not him, and saying that she only responded to the message so she could figure out who it was. I didn't buy it, but ultimately we moved on, though it certainly didn't help my confidence in her. I pointed out that, if she suspected it was me from the very beginning, she could have given me peace of mind by following our plan and showing me the message, but she didn't do that. By then, it was spring 2023, and my wife had a new job that required her to travel for a few days every month. Periodically, I would check her Facebook and IG just to make sure nothing was going on. She told me she had no problem with me looking at her accounts whenever I wanted if it helped me trust her. And after finding nothing for months, I started to feel really good about our marriage again. Then one day while she was traveling for work, it hit me. She has a LinkedIn account that I've never bothered to look at. I grabbed an old laptop of hers and fired it up, pulled up LinkedIn, and her password was saved on the browser, and sure enough, there he was. Johnny was a follower on her account. Moments later, a chat window opened and they were telling each other good morning. I could see their whole conversation in real time. Fortunately, as I read, the conversation came across as though this was their first time talking in a long time, and aside from one flirtatious comment, no sexting occurred. It mostly read like friends catching up. How is your family? That sort of thing. When she returned home from her trip, I confronted her. She denied it and lied and lied and lied. For a half an hour, she swore she hadn't talked to him. I didn't reveal how I knew, but I told her I knew she was lying. Finally, she confessed. I reminded her that, when she had first been caught months ago, I told her I couldn't go through this again, and that she needed to understand that she was jeopardizing our family by doing this. She swore she didn't ever think I would leave just by talking to him. I explained what I wanted, and looking back now, it was stupid, but I told her that one. If he contacted her, I wanted her to not respond and tell me, and two, made it clear that if I found out she was doing it again, that would be it for us, that I wouldn't stand for her being disrespectful to me, to our marriage and our family. I asked her to please not cross that line again, and that she needed to stop and think about whether our marriage, our family, our home, the life we've built together for us and our daughter, if it was really worth it to risk all of that to talk to this guy. It was my nuclear deterrent. She said she understood and promised it would never happen again. Lies. Months went by, things went back to normal, and I started feeling good about us again. Nothing suspicious was happening at all. We even had a fun family vacation which saw her parents join us on a Caribbean cruise. While we were traveling there, I asked her one last time about Johnny. Nothing had come up or been spoken of in months, and I told her that last time, just as I started to feel comfortable in our relationship again. She started talking with him, and I was worried about the same thing happening all over. She looked me in the eyes and with real emotion in her voice, told me that that will never, ever happen again. That she loves me, she appreciates everything I've done to be more supportive of her, and that she has no interest in nor reason to talk to him. I don't think I've ever seen her say something with so much conviction, and I believed her. Like an idiot. Just 2 weeks after the cruise, she traveled again for work. Very late one night, I got that suspicious feeling. And while I had told myself I wasn't going to check her social media anymore, I pulled out her old laptop again and opened up LinkedIn, which she never found out was how I had caught her the last time. There it was. She had sent him a connection request in the early hours of the morning. I barely slept, then woke up early so I could watch how the conversation would unfold. He accepted the request, and their conversation destroyed my world. They talked about friendly stuff at first, then my wife pushed things to a sexual place by telling him she wouldn't be able to be good around him. She confessed to him that he is always on her mind and she thinks about him constantly, though she understands he probably doesn't feel quite the same way. She told him multiple times to come meet her at her hotel the next time she travels. Then they got graphic about what would occur if that happened. They never set a date, nor did he agree to meet her, and there were plenty of lol and haha-s sprinkled in to suggest a lack of seriousness in the offer, but she put it out there. They shared fantasies about what it would be like if his family moved close to ours. He asked her several times what would happen if they were to randomly run into each other while at school pickup or the grocery store. He pushed to get her to say sexual things, which she did. She also complained about me, that I was still on her ass about him, to which he responded in disbelief since it had been, at that point, nearly a year since I had first caught them. I screenshotted everything. The crazy thing is her dad cheated on her mom when she and her sister were very young and then left. So some of her earliest memories were of her dad leaving them and her mom trying to deal with the betrayal and raise two daughters on her own. I spent the day pacing, then confronted her once she got home and our daughter was in bed. I lost it. I generally am a very calm person, but I went off on her, told her what a piece of shit she was for making that choice for our daughter to grow up in a split house after she knows firsthand what that's like. She swore that she wasn't thinking about losing me or our family, didn't consider our agreement of what would happen if she did it again, etc. We ultimately left things uncertain, and that's where things took a turn. The next day she broke, like mentally broke. Her anxiety and what had been undiagnosed depression went through the roof. She revealed to me that her anxiety had been steadily getting worse, and she had gotten to the point that she was thinking about the only way to get better was for her to no longer be here. Like no longer be alive. She said she would never really do it because she lost her stepbrother to suicide when she was 13 and knows what that does to a family, but I was worried as hell. The pain, the anger, the betrayal, everything I felt had to take a back seat the second she said that. I was afraid to leave her alone, so I called her mom and told her what was happening. She flew out the next day to help. My wife found a therapist, got switched onto depression meds, which clearly she has as well as anxiety, and is working to get back to being herself again. And no, I don't believe any of this was fake to get out of what she did. It's been too real and going on for too long. Periods of sobbing uncontrollably, panic attacks, unable to get off the couch, the whole deal. I believe what happened triggered it, but it isn't being faked. But now months have gone by. I've been terrified for her and laser focused on getting her back to being herself. She has made real progress. She's on FMLA so she can step away from work if she needs to, and while she still has some rough days, is much closer to being herself again. Meanwhile, I've kept all of the unresolved anger and frustration buried just below the surface, telling myself I can deal with it later, and the priority is to help my wife through this emergency. It came out one night a few weeks ago. We got into a small and stupid argument, and I uncharacteristically blew up, which made me realize that keeping everything buried while she works on herself isn't sustainable. I found a therapist for myself to help work through everything and have had one session so far. I'm really not sure what to do. I created what I thought was a nuclear deterrent, confirming to her that she would lose us, our family, everything if she did it again, and it still didn't stop her. Yet I still love my wife. I'm trying to focus on what's best for our daughter while I finally allow myself to process everything. But I don't know how I'm ever supposed to trust her again now that it's been 3 times that I've caught her with the same guy that she's been talking to off and on for 2.5 years, and has expressed that she has an emotional connection with him. I think that she isn't talking to him now and hasn't since she got caught again months ago, but can I really believe that she won't just find another way? With a kid involved, I want to exhaust all options before cutting my losses and breaking up our family, but I can't trust her. TLDR, wife has been caught 3 times chatting and sexting with another man despite knowing it could end our marriage. Unsure of how to proceed with our 7-year-old daughter in mind. Story 2. Back in January, I posted a couple of threads here. I suspected that my M45 wife F39 was cheating on me. 1. We've been together since early 2016, had a baby in late 2016. We bought a house together while she was pregnant. I will refer to her as my wife, but we're not actually married, just common law. 2. Our relationship started out great, but it didn't take until our daughter's first birthday for me to realize that something was wrong. I don't know exactly when things started to go off the rails, but I seriously was questioning if she even wanted to be with me. We didn't fight, we got along fine, but there was no physical or emotional intimacy. She was clearly not interested in anything, and I was too scared to talk about it. Told myself that it would improve over time. I was in love with her. It was worth waiting out whatever she was going through. I was honestly scared that a frank discussion about it would lead to her ending things. 3. The relationship did eventually improve. There was a stretch of a couple of years where things seemed pretty good, but by late 2022, things had regressed. Bad. Unlike before, I didn't have the mental capacity to hold it in and wait things out. Early 2023 was the first time I initiated a conversation about the state of our relationship and how I was feeling. I did start seeing a therapist after this, which has helped me deal with stuff better. 4. Things might have improved a little bit after that, but only a little and only a little bit every once in a while. When it comes to sex specifically, I'm sure we had sex less than 10 times in 2023 and less than 5 in 2024. 5. Midway through 2024 was the first time I ever questioned if she might have been cheating on me. Not that she had ever said or done anything that suggested it, but it was really how she was with her phone. I convinced myself that the problem was in my head. I'm just paying closer attention to behavior that's always been there. I think it's fair to say she's always been a phone addict, but thinking back on everything, I do think she became much more secretive around her phone in 2024. The idea of cheating didn't come from something she did. I think I got stuck seeing too many signs she's cheating on you, things online, and started to think seriously about it. I eventually got over this and pretty much stopped worrying about. 6. Fall of 2024, I found a vibrator in her nightstand that I didn't know she had. It seemed to me that it came from a set with matching thong and remote. I couldn't be sure though, as an identical model is sold without those accessories. I asked her about it right away. She insisted that she'd had it for years and there was no remote. I believed her. Sometime after that discussion, couple of weeks, while putting away laundry, I found that matching thong tucked into the back of her underwear drawer. I looked for it on Discovery. I'm positive I did. I told myself that I must have just missed it, even though it's red and would have stood out instantly. There is no record I can find of this product being sold with the thong, but no remote, but I let myself believe her story. 7. In December 2024, I found sensual/edible massage oils in her backpack, 2 small bottles. One had been opened and was about half gone. I confronted her that evening. I explain what I found. She tells me that she'd bought them while in the sex store while shopping with friends, for us to try. They were in the store because one of her friends wanted to buy some kind of outfit. One of the friends was curious and asked to open one so she could see how it tasted, and when she did, she split a bunch. Anyone who suggests I'm a fool for believing this, you're probably right. I will say that she was able to offer the explanation instantly, and it seemed genuine. This friend who spilt it, I'll call her Jay, it is 100% believable that she'd ask to do it and be clumsy enough to spill. It was realistic. Of course, I had to ignore a few facts. These oils had been in her backpack for about 3 weeks, assuming they were bought when she said they were. She wanted us to try them. She certainly wasn't in any hurry to. It also ignores the fact that in mid-November, when she bought them, we hadn't had sex in about 4 months, and it wasn't because I didn't show interest. She had none. 8. Somewhere in there, we did have another conversation about our relationship. We both promised to try harder. For the next couple of months, December, January, and into February, I felt a genuine effort from her. That effort seemed real. I couldn't get the fear of her cheating out of my head though, and I posted my thread in here. 9. I did finally confront her about my fears in February. I no real proof of anything, just that something in my gut was off. We talked about it for a long time. We both cried. She seemed genuinely hurt that I would suggest it was a possibility. Among other things, I did ask about the vibrator again and reminded her that the matching thong was in her drawer. I let her explain it away. I left this conversation feeling like she had not cheated. Things were okay for a couple of weeks. I had actually come back to this forum and tried to post I don't think she actually did it post, but it got rejected for some reason. I never tried again because I wanted to put all of these thoughts behind me. 10. Our daughter was sick. I have repeatedly asked over the years for our bedroom to not be treated as an infirmary. If she needs to sleep in our bed at night, be close to mommy because she's sick, that's fine, but they don't need to sit in there all day. We got into a fight about it. It was bad. No insults or anything like that, but tone, voices raised. We've actually fought very little in 9+ years together. This was probably the worst one. She gave me the silent treatment for about a week, and then things started to improve again. 11. Things were improving. We had an overnight trip planned in early March. It went well. Had sex that night, first time since the fight. I think it was the 5th time in 2025, which was already an improvement on the total from 2024. I don't think our relationship was amazing at this point, but I was at least content with the direction we were heading in. 12. We end up in a long talk one night, mid-April, about the state of our relationship. Our daughter had spent the night at Grandma's recently. She woke up in the night crying, and when Grandma asked her what was wrong, she said something to the effect of, "Every day I can't wait for Mommy to get home because Daddy just yells at me." My heart broke a little bit hearing that. It's in no way accurate. I don't yell at her at all. Particularly the few months prior to this, I know for a damn fact that I was grumpy a lot. My mood was bad and my kid knew it. My answers were short. I'm sure I was unpleasant to be around. My wife certainly believes what I just wrote there is true. I don't actually yell, but my bad moods come off as yelling to a kid that never gets yelled at. And we kept talking. Eventually, she made the point. We make each other miserable. She still hasn't been able to tell me what I do that makes her miserable, but she's right. Her lack of an affection for me, any signs of love, it makes me miserable. I was good at hiding things for the first few years, but after I got a small taste of improvement, I haven't been able to hide it well. She asked the question, would we be better off apart? Wouldn't two happy parents living separately be better than two depressed ones living together? She did make a very good point. I told her that I wanted to keep trying, that I was not ready to give up on us. The conversation eventually ended. I followed up a couple of days later asking how she was doing. This led to her making the same points again. It came across to me like she wanted me to agree that a split was the best thing to do, and then we'd do it. I wasn't able to get there, agree, so a split didn't happen. 13. I was doing the mental gymnastics for a few days, wanting to talk about this again, but also worried that the next conversation was going to be it, and we'd be done. Like I have been for my entire life, I found a good excuse to avoid things. We had a wedding coming up in May. I decided I'd ride things out as they were until then and talk to her about it afterwards, but knowing full well that the next conversation might be, "Yeah, you're right, we're done." 14. Before that happens, I get laid off from my job. I'm still collecting severance. It has not added any financial pressures to our household yet, but if we split, I won't be in a position to deal with any of the financial pressures of that split if I'm not working. As such, I've delayed any kind of "so what are we doing now? Where are we at?" kind of conversation. 15. Behavioral changes. Since me questioning her about cheating back in February, the main behavior, how she was with her phone, has changed a lot. She's still on it all the time, but she doesn't seem sneaky about it anymore. It doesn't feel like she's hiding something. I assume she changed her behavior after hearing how it made me feel. I hadn't thought about it until very recently, but she's also stopped spending as much time with a particular friend I'll call H. H lives close enough to us, about a 25-minute drive. She was the friend that prompted the shopping trip when the oils were bought. That's also far enough that if they have a couple of drinks and now can't drive, a cab is going to be expensive. She would go out with H once or twice a month. Stay overnight once every 2 or 3 times they were hanging out. From February through mid-July, I'm not sure that they've done anything together. They probably did once, I'm not sure. Our relationship is clearly in the tank. I can't get her to spend more than 45 minutes with me in the evening. Before she's too tired and needs to go to bed, I'll also admit to some behavior I have not been proud of. Since that last talk, I've been on edge. There's one thing that's given me a bit of comfort, though. I look in things, I check drawers, bags, etc. I see nothing is wrong. There's no new discoveries. There is exactly zero evidence of cheating. It just feels like things might be over anyway, and I'm scared of it. Despite everything I've written, I will tell you that I still love this woman. I would do anything to repair whatever is wrong in our relationship. Seeing no proof in front of me has brought me some comfort. In what's probably going to be the last summer the three of us are a family together. 16. Of course you're now wondering what's the catch. The title of this thread implies that there is cheating going on, and I just wrote out how I keep checking and finding nothing. That changed last Saturday. I was home alone. I don't know why, but I dug a little deeper than I normally do. More than just a quick check of a couple of drawers. And then in our closet, behind her backpack, inside a purse she hasn't used in years, I find a black plastic bag holding a boxed Intro to Bondage kit. It has a rope, blindfold, paddle, gag, and butt plug. The box looks like it's been opened to me, so I opened it. If it had been brand new, never used, the rope would have been coiled nicely. It was not. It had the remains of a couple of knots in it, though. The gag looked to me like there was some light wear on one of the eyelets, but I can't be sure. The other items looked unused, but I can't be sure about that either. I am 100% certain that this kit was not there in the spring. I'm about 95% certain it was not there at the beginning of the month. It came into our home sometime in 2025, and I'm pretty certain in July. She had an overnight work conference the week before I found this. It could have come home after that trip. That conference was very much real and had been planned for months. I think the more likely scenario was about 10 days before that. I had planned a trip where I was going out overnight a couple of weeks prior. We arranged for our daughter to go to grandma's for the night, in case her work schedule, which changes from week to week, made that necessary. My wife had plans that day with some friends. I believe that was legit, but we did text each other a bunch during the day/evening. And at some point during the day, she said she was going to go hang out with H for the night, stay over, and she'd see me the next day. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I'm pretty sure that's when the set was purchased. It made its way into our house sometime after that. Maybe I'm right, and in July of 2025, it was just the H night. Maybe I'm wrong and it was the work conference. Maybe it was both. At this point, it doesn't really matter. So what does it all mean for me? She's cheating on me. There were holes in her stories before, but everything she was plausible enough that I let myself believe it. I wanted to believe it. Despite what I just wrote, I will say it, I still love her. The coming weeks are going to be incredibly hard. Right now, I'm under the belief that she started seeing someone in mid-2024, and it continued right up until February of 2025. When I confronted her, she broke it off. Earlier this month, it started up again. It occurs to me that things could have been going on a lot longer than that, but who knows? Maybe she didn't break things off at all and she's just been better at hiding it. That could be true too. I don't know for sure. I suppose none of that really matters. So what do I do now? Today, how do I keep living like this? Let me tell you, it is a struggle, because I can't do anything about it right now. Not until I have a job, and not until I catch her in an irrefutable lie. I am optimistic that I'll be working again by September. I'm down the road with interviews. I have 2 that are looking like very good prospects. I do believe at least one of them is going to work out. Unlike things I've found before, I'm not saying a word about this kit. My expectation is that sometime soon it's going to go missing. Then it's going to reappear. And once that happens, I've got enough proof in my own mind to be satisfied. I don't need to catch her in the act, but I'll know. She'll be able to lie about it if she wants to, but I'll be able to tell her I know she's lying. In spite of all this, I still want to believe she's a good person. We have a daughter together, so we're going to be in each other's lives for a long time. I want to believe that I knocked her up so quickly, things seemed good, so she agreed to just jump into a life together with me. That she knew very early on in the living together stage that she'd made a mistake, and didn't really want to be with me, but pregnant or with a newborn, and worried about the future, she decided to stick it out because we had a kid. I want to believe that she did really try over the years to make it work, but the problem was that she just didn't love me, and she didn't have the courage to tell me. If that's all true, while I'd love an explanation as to what happened, I can't fault her for it. I'd like to believe that after nearly 8 years in a crappy relationship, she made a decision that she knew was wrong but did it anyway because she wanted to feel something. It made her feel good and she kept on doing it. I want to believe she did break it off for a while, knowing what she was doing was wrong, but after that last few rough months, she's gone back to it because it makes her feel better. I want to believe that as time goes on, she's going to feel awful about it. And that's what I'm telling myself right now the story is. At least something close to that. I'm hoping we'll get to a point where she can at least be honest enough to admit it happened, even if she's not giving 100% of the story. I don't think I need to know every little detail, but I need some honesty. I need some honesty from her because I want to be able to forgive her. I don't want to spend the rest of my life resenting her, and I'm terrified that she's going to deny everything, lie, and I am going to resent her. I'm worried that we're going to spend the next 10 minutes, 15 years needing to be in a lot of the same places, regularly talking to each other, and I'm going to be bitter. I've read lots about this topic. I think there are cheaters who are just bad people and cheat for the thrill of it. I also think there are some that are otherwise good people, but unhappiness drove them to do something that they end up regretting. I really want to believe she is in the second category. I believe she's a great mother. I don't want to spend the next decade worrying that my daughter is spending half of her time with a lying, manipulative, awful person. Even if I were working right now, waiting until September will advantageous for me IMO anyway. I've got to hang in here for another 6 weeks or so. Writing this all down, sharing it, it's cathartic. I feel so much more relaxed than I did when I started typing this novel. We're leaving tomorrow for a long weekend trip, visiting some extended family. I hope I can keep myself together and not show it. It makes me really sad to know this is going to be the last trip we take as a family of 3. I'm just going to do my best to make sure my daughter has a great weekend. Anyone who's gotten this far, thank you for reading. I appreciate you. I doubt I'll look at this thread until after we get back from our trip, but I'll reply to comments and questions as best I can.